All right, yeah, let's jump into Beverly Hills. This is the one I'm most excited to talk about. Zach, what were your highlights from Beverly Hills?
Well, there was the centerpiece, the Magic Mike show. Although I guess it was kind of the Sutton show, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe against her will. I think, I guess there's this question. Did she leave because she was offended, or did she leave because, well, why was she offended? Was she offended by the sexual acts, or was she offended by not being chosen? I don't know her well enough to know if she is telling the truth and it's just because the head and the crotch kind of moved. Did he rub or was he just kind of like down there? Was he just near it? I forget.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like in stunt fighting where you have to, like, if you're punching, you're kind of like punching across the axis between the camera, and it was stunt kind of lingus, I guess.
Gotcha.
What was going on there?
That was too much for her.
So as an outsider, what was your gut? Like, what do you think was Sutton's motivation?
I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Like, they muddy the waters because then afterwards she's like saying like, I want to have sex twice a day, and I've got all these sex toys, and I'm reading the tantric book on sex. She's reading like, what's the name of it? The Kama Sutra and shit. Like, yeah. What do you like? It felt like almost a joke or something, like a setup and a payoff. It's like, oh, that's disgusting, but also watch me like masturbate. It's like, what the hell? Not that she does that, but so I don't really know what to take away from it. I mean, it seems unlikely that she was just upset for not getting taken down, but. And I guess like it was also the reputation thing. She was like, would a ballet board member or whatever, be seen doing this kind of thing? Which in the third Magic Mike, there's a great performance at the very end where a ballet dancer is with Channing Tatum and do this amazing act in like water and they're sliding around and shit. So ballet dancers can be seen in that environment. It's all right. Not that she's the dancer, but whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Sandy, I'm curious your thoughts on this.
I think she maybe a little of both. Clearly, she had some sort of interest in getting involved in this show, but it also may have overwhelmed her, and perhaps she was feeling a combination of some disappointment and guilt at that very disappointment that made it manifest in that exact way. I wonder what the ballet that she's on the board of felt about her naming them several times. Probably didn't help with the reputation, or I shouldn't say that, but the very concern she had. I guess that she's a complex character, and what I can say about her is she's acting authentically and is not strategically here. So what we're seeing is real, whatever I think, at least. I don't know. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, this was my favorite thing on Bravo this week was seeing this portrait of Sutton that we got. I thought it was amazing. And, I think that this, as a fan of Sutton, like as a housewife that I want to root for, I don't think this was a particularly great episode. And that's mostly because of the scene that we got early on where she's kind of like bossing around her assistant and not like handling things well. I think that paints her in a very like negative light. And it was interesting, the choice to include that leading up to this this fit that we got. But I think the journey that we've gotten for Sutton's character this season so far has been like, she's clearly looking to reinsert herself into the dating scene. But ultimately what was going on here, it felt like she had a big decision that she was making during this episode. And that was, do I wear the pants, or like, do I not wear the pants? And it was really like, do I go out in something that I'm going to feel like comfortable in and like feel more like I'm in my skin, or do I put the pants on because I want to get on stage? And she was trying to make a decision in terms of which is like where how is she going to feel most desired? Like, it was like, am I going to feel more desired if I'm going out in like clothes that I'm comfortable in, that I feel confident in, or if I wear something where I've got the opportunity to get pulled on stage and like be worship, to use a word that you use in your video essay, by the performers on stage in the Magic Mike. And I think she made this decision and immediately kind of like regretted it when she wasn't one of the first people to get pulled up, and then was completely embarrassed and feeling rejected and undesired. And we see her like curl up into like a ball and and self-destruct because people start asking her, oh, what's wrong? And that just like kind of makes things worse. It just piles on. Like, she feels like people know that she's uncomfortable and she has to come up with some sort of answer for it. And, she just she reaches into her back pocket and like pulls out the prudish response of, thinking that this is below me as like a Southern,
Southern Belle.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that she realized afterwards that, she's going to come off as prudish, and that's not who she really is, or that's not the journey that she wants to be seen as being on. And that's not the character that she wants to be. And she immediately like goes hard in the other direction, takes a like complete left turn. And that's when she starts bringing up all of the like, I've got all these sex toys and I've been like reading all these books, and, leans hard in the other direction. I think that that's why it felt like you get whiplash trying to figure out what she was going through. But this journey was like so complicated and like so emotional for her that I just thought it was very like compelling, and I did feel sympathetic. But that is definitely undermined by how she treated her assistant at the beginning of this episode. It like does not set you up to be sympathetic towards her.
Right. Well, I think her and Kyle going at it, like, I mean, they were both, I guess with what you've just said about Sutton, it makes me feel more sympathetic, even if she was kind of mean to her assistant. But they're sort of going back and forth, and like they're both like kind of misreading each other. Like, I guess, yeah, Kyle is saying that Sutton is making a big deal out of this. And like, she really wasn't. Like, I mean, by virtue of the fact that you're a real housewife on a show, like your emotional reaction, unfortunately, like is an action, like even if it is just kind of like walking out of a place. Like she didn't, I don't think she told anyone to come with her. She wasn't like, let's get out of here, guys. This sucks. She just left by herself, as she says.
Right.
So Kyle is kind of misreading that, but Kyle is saying like, you just said it was about your reputation, and like Sutton is like denying it like moments after having said these sorts of things. So yeah, it was definitely confusing, but I think given what you just said, it kind of makes more sense that Sutton is just grasping, and like trying to keep face basically after all that. So I think I was a little, being a little harsh, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because we don't see it in this episode, but Kyle is definitely going through her own journey with her relationship, her long-term relationship with her husband, Mo. And it does seem like she's being very opportunistic to like pounce on Sutton and, make a big deal out of this. I don't know what is fully motivating that, antagonistic approach that she's taking with Sutton, but that also did stand out to me for sure.
Yeah, it felt like kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, like on Kyle's side. It's like, just let her go and not enjoy it. Like it could have been fine, you know. But that wouldn't have made for as interesting TV, I realized. So
yeah. And Kyle's approach to it was like, I don't know, it brought out in me as a viewer, like it was definitely like borderline bullying. Like she would not drop it, and she was like joking about it. And you know, I laughed while watching it because it was humorous how she was like drilling into it, but like to in retrospect be like, oh yeah, she made me feel like one of the mean girls by like going in and like clearly just like laughing at someone that's prodding at someone that is having a hard time. You know, that's an emotion that I had to resolve at the end of watching that scene.
Yeah.
Zach, did you have any other highlights from Beverly Hills?
Let me see. Well, I mean, I guess like the final scene where, you know, the being in the hotel, Kyle working out. Apparently that was like, why would you do that? Like they didn't really, you know, it's not a big drama, but they're like, why would you work out on your vacations? Like people do that. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I don't know why we're talking about this. It's fine. But then Garcelle, you know, bringing up her son. I very little context of what happened with that is brought into this, so I don't really know. But she kind of brings up to the group that she doesn't trust them with her son talking about him, or you know, I don't know exactly what she doesn't trust them with beyond speaking about it. But it did feel kind of to me like this is kind of a weird time to bring this up. Like, and with her kind of argument with who was it that she was kind of Dorit.
Yeah.
Dorit.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think Dorit is being a bit being kind of not great either, but like if you are only just saying something so that people kind of accept it, it's like that's what she just wants people to like acknowledge it. Well, it's like, oh, well then I guess you can just say it and then we'll move on. I don't know. Like, what are you supposed to do with like, oh, I don't trust you guys with my kids.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to go get drinks? Like, what do you like? How do you react to that? You know, like that is some pot stirring kind of stuff. It feels like I don't know what reaction you're going to get that you're going to be satisfied. I guess besides
that's
like
true. Yeah.
I'm sorry and I'll do better, which like Dorit kind of maybe tried, but obviously was pretty defensive. So it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't wholehearted or anything.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Dorit was like, oh, I already paid for that. Like, I already bought that. I already gave you what you wanted for that. And now you're trying to like get more out of me. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes because it definitely seems like they're at like an emotional deadlock here. But yeah, that didn't even register to me that, you know, what is Garcelle trying to get out of this interaction? Like, why bother bringing that up?
Yeah, it just felt like we need a little more for this episode. Come on, just say it, you know. I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know if they tell these people these things, but it felt like that.
Yeah,
they do.
Sandy, what were your highlights from this?
It was interesting for me to compare sort of the narrative arc of this episode versus Salt Lake City, where this one had this big fight in the middle, and because of how, as you sort of laid out, Sutton's wanting to distance herself from her own behavior, it really ended in a whimper. And the way we can see how Sutton is not strategic, like she's already apologizing to people like 10 minutes after she had this outburst. Like you need to play it out, at least do your apology tour the next episode. Like, so she doesn't think that way. And then Erika is not fighting with anyone anymore. So why are you on the show, Erika?
Yeah.
So I was very disappointed. It sounds like Erika might be a little catty next episode. So we'll see about that whole thing. But it just really it was interesting. And then it just deflated. And I didn't really find the rest of the episode that interesting. Whereas Salt Lake City had a really good build. And I kind of started thinking it was a little dull, and it ended really well. So that was kind of interesting to observe. And yeah, bit of a letdown. So
I will say, Erika did show off her immense flexibility in her legs. Like,
Yeah.
She did do that.
Does she perform herself? Like, why isn't she doing this? Why isn't she on the Magic Mike
She
show?
does. She's a pop star.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yes, star is like using that term a little loosely. But,
Okay.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about Erika because this was very weird as someone who has watched the show to see how Erika handles Sutton's like tantrum at her event. It was very uncharacteristic. Like, Erika's scrappy. Like, she will fight when the bell rings. So, it was very strange, and I couldn't help thinking about that scene that we got. Well, I don't know if it was last week or maybe it was 2 weeks ago in the premiere where Erika's with her like therapist, and her therapist was trying to explain to her what empathy was. And it was, I was like, oh, maybe she does have like some sort of like, I don't know. It seemed like a character trait that she was just like, okay, I'm just going to turn off the fighting part of me. I'm just not going to like engage with things. And it almost makes me view any of her like previous interactions as though they weren't emotionally motivated. Like, that she fakes having emotions, because we have seen her like pour on the fake tears, and like when she seems emotional, it does seem like very put on. But the fact that, recently she like seems very confused at the concept of having empathy, and for her to just be able to turn off that like emotional switch and be like, okay, well, that's not going to bother me because I'm just not fighting right now, then I'm not doing that. It does make me like feel very I feel like I'm watching almost a robot that or something that's programmed to interact in these situations.
Yeah.
She's just building up. You know what I mean? You got to be like the Zen monk. It's like, nothing bothers me. And then something bothers her. And she's like, it is my time to fight. And then it'll be a clash of the titans. Episode 10. Watch out for that one.
Yeah, looking forward to that.